Hello and welcome back to Talking Shit with a Yank and a Brit. I don't know what that was.
I think you could tell by the way you were making me dance, though, is that it was fire.
You were busting some grooves. So
No, I thought you were going to go like, talking shit with the Yank and a Brit. Like, I thought you were going to do the Brit differently. So I'm going to need you to try it again.
Okay. Welcome to Talking Shit with a Yank and a Brit.
There we go. Very, I don't know, show tunesy, maybe?
Yeah. I felt like I needed like a top hat and some jazz hands, you know?
Jazz. It's just all the jazz hands. That is how I will cabaret up my show at our cabaret. Just lots of this.
Lots of this. And feathers.
Yep. While I
For people that can't
chug
see us, we're jazz handing right now.
a little bit of Charleston and flappering and oh god, yeah, I probably shouldn't do that. I don't think that would go well. You guys would
Oh, why?
not be successful. You wouldn't be a successful business.
Oh, okay, well.
I can be the matinee show, you know,
Okay.
when people come midday for the buffet or something.
No, I just want you
and
to
I'm
walk around the venue, just going, jazz hands. Just that's all you do. Jazz hands. Just walking up to people and jazz handing them.
That's all I can say too. Like I don't get to say anything else.
Excuse me, miss, do you know where the toilet is? You'd be like, jazz
Jazz
hands.
hands.
Yep. That's
Okay,
it.
review. This place is really great. I think a lot of the acts are really novel and interesting. Lots of beautiful women and men who are performers, but there's this one lady who I'm not sure if she works there. I'm not sure if maybe she's just like the special needs relative of one of the owners, but all she does is walk around going, jazz hands. So watch out for her.
She's a little bit scary.
Great. That's going to be my
Very
legacy.
enthusiastic, though. So
Yeah, she really commits. So
she's committed to the role. Yeah. Well, what
how
have you
was
been
your
up
week?
to?
Oh, I
Oh,
will tell you
good.
since you got
Tell
it out
me.
before I did. Busy weekend. I even had one of my friends comment on how many steps I got in because my like activity account is shared with some people, so you can see if I'm like
Being a
meeting my
lazy
rings.
bitch.
Yeah, and I am. Like normally that's what they see.
Oh, I
So I
know.
wonder if they're like, did Kate like put her watch on a dog this weekend or what happened? But like Friday, we went to the Minnesota State Fair, otherwise known as the Great Minnesota Get Together.
Ooh.
And I think we
Is that
probably
where they
walked.
have the butter statues? Or that was the Iowa one, wasn't it?
That's Iowa.
Yeah.
And I'm actually a little surprised that Minnesota hasn't attempted to do their own butter situation, but
Mm.
it's a very big fair with lots of different like exhibits and attractions that I honestly don't think they need the butter sculptures
Oh,
to
okay.
draw any crowds because it's so many people. There's so much food. There's so many things to look at, including the people who are there. It's just nuts, but always a good time. I ate so many things. And I mean, one such thing was like fried cookie dough pie
Ooh.
and like birthday cake mini donuts and
Mm.
tater tot crusted hot dog on a stick and
Ooh.
cheesecake curds. So, I did have to go get my stomach pumped at the end of the night,
Yeah, understandable.
but it was worth it.
Good. Good, good, good.
And, the inevitable clogged arteries that they uncover down the road, probably.
Oh, that's a tomorrow problem.
Yeah, it is. You're right.
Mm.
And then on Saturday, I did just a ton of manual labor for our friends in anticipation of their wedding. A
Yeah,
lot of
shit.
manual labor. It was very
Doing what?
sore. Well, my particular job was to basically mulch and like pull mulch and spread it out. And it was just a lot of work from like 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Did it.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
That is a lot of manual labor. Did you get
Mm.
paid, or
No, but
are you
I wouldn't
slave
have.
trade?
Yes, I was. It was definitely unpaid work, but I wouldn't have expected that because we wanted to help, and they fed us and um, provided us with lots of delicious snacks and drinks and stuff. So, and
Encouraging quotes.
yep, I mean, they stood and were like, "Great job, now get back to work," pretty frequently, but there was some encouragement there.
Well, they sat on the
um,
porch and drank lemonade.
yep, and fanned themselves gently. Levi was in town, and so he joined us
Awesome.
to help with that and go to the fair. And then last night, I went to yet another concert of some bands that I don't really listen to that much, except for All American Rejects.
Nice. Who else was there?
So it was the Get Up Kids, the starting line, Newfound Glory, and then All
Mm,
American Rejects was the headliner.
mm,
And it's a tour, and they're like swapping out other bands. So it was like the starting line's last night, and then Motion City Soundtrack is like replacing them.
right.
But had I known that when I bought the tickets that Motion City Soundtrack wasn't going to be playing, I'm not sure I would have been as into going. So
Oh.
yeah.
Was Nigel happy, though? 'Cause
Well,
I
what do
know
you
he's
think?
quite a fan of all of those.
Yeah, he was definitely living his best life. He
He's
really
like,
was.
Kate, hold my bag. I need to get closer.
Yeah, pretty much. And I stood in the back just with like his purse and his coat and his drink, when he was not crowd surfing and you know, looked at my watch inside a lot.
Fangirling.
Yeah. No, it was a good show. I mean, that's all music I listened to, even if it wasn't those particular bands. So it was a good time.
Nice. Lovely.
Yeah. How's your
Sounds
weekend? What have
grand.
you been up to?
Well, I've been hanging out with my new squeeze.
It's
That's
time.
right. You heard it first. I am in a I'm in a relationship, people. I'm off the market, baby.
I am so surprised at this news. I had no idea. Tell me everything.
Yeah. It's been very nice. Came and watched me sing one of my gigs.
Nice.
And we just did like nice coupley things, really. I also played a prank on him.
Did you give him a heads up that you were going to be telling me and the world about this
I
today?
think he'll be fine with it.
Okay. Just curious.
Won't you?
Yes, Gemma. Oh, was that him? Where
Yeah,
is he? Under your desk?
that's it. Around. Tied him up. So we have quite a how you say I guess like fun dynamic. We like to take the piss out of each other
Mhm.
and you know
You're straight up mean to each other, aren't you?
yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Young
And the other
love.
night I know. It's disgusting, isn't it?
Blech.
So I stayed around his the other night. And it had sort of come up in conversation that previously that he had a mannequin.
You had a
Um,
what?
a mannequin.
Okay. Okay.
And I realised that this mannequin was under his bed.
Weird.
Yeah, so
Why?
well, I guess it's just a handy storage place for this.
Okay, let me rephrase. Why does he have
Yeah, that's probably a more important question. I don't know. I think he had it for some Halloween party or something.
Some weird sex thing? Okay.
Yeah, sex doll. You know. So anyway, I decided to. He went to work. I stayed for a bit and then went home.
Mhm.
And I decided to play a little prank. I've just sent you the pictures of what I did.
Oh no. Okay. So, do you want me to describe what I'm seeing? Do you want to describe my face? as I'm seeing
Yeah, I'll
them.
describe your face and then you can.
Oh, okay. Is the book part of this?
Well, yeah, I just thought.
Make it look a little more lifelike. So,
Yeah.
I mean, first, far enough, if you don't zoom in, you wouldn't necessarily know you're looking at a mannequin, just someone maybe with dead behind the eyes glare. Okay. Oh god. So creepy. Okay.
Yeah. So what I did is I got the mannequin, I put it in his dressing gown, and I popped it in his bed so that when he came back after work, um, there was a nice surprise man waiting for him in his bed.
Yeah. So what
And
happened?
it was quite a shock, I believe. Um, he rang me and just called me the C word,
Oh my god.
but in an affectionate way.
Right. I get that it's used way more casually than how some folks perceive it here. Yes.
Yeah. Um, but the moral of the story is I'm really proud of myself, and it obtained just the reaction I was after.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good prank, and I'm glad you did it. I also just want to comment on his pillow next to him.
Okay. Yeah.
Is that three sheep?
Yes. Yeah.
I think there's a matching one kind of tucked behind. Okay, well, I'll stop there. So I want to know more about these pillows.
I don't know much about them apart from they've got sheep on them.
Could you get some of those details for me?
Yes, I will.
Like, are they
Alan, if you could give
beloved?
us some feedback, I'm going to call him Alan.
Yeah,
Um,
perfect.
if you could give us some feedback on the sheep pillows, where they're from, what they represent, and how they make you feel.
Yeah, treasured family heirlooms, or did you just see them at the shop and you're like, "Ooh, I must have those." I like them. Let's not like get confused. I'm not making fun of them. I like them.
Good. Okay.
I also like the peperomia in the corner. Looks nice and healthy. And the
Hmm.
book.
Many a plant.
I guess I'm curious to know about the book. Like, is it a good book? Would you recommend it?
I don't think you started reading it. It was on the shelf in the
Okay.
to be read section, but I thought Joe the mannequin would appreciate some
Just a little
bedtime
bedtime
reading.
story. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, kind of, I think probably a scary one, but maybe Joe the mannequin isn't really afraid of much.
That mannequin's got cracking eyelashes, I will say that.
What? He
If you
also
zoom in.
sleeps with his eyes open. Oh yeah, damn.
Mm.
Are we sure this isn't maybe Josephine the mannequin?
Well, I mean, there's sort of a prominent, sort of Ken doll bump,
Oh, right. Because
you know?
I forgot. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you better watch your back because I suspect something's probably coming your way.
I know.
And if Alan wants to like loop me in to help, I would absolutely say no 100%. Call me Alan.
Call me out.
Oh, it's a good song. Call me
Um,
Alan.
I didn't think about the repercussions.
Yeah, you're fucked. Sorry, dude.
Although he did bring around loads of goggly eye stickers, and he stuck them on like my little Buddha in my bedroom and a picture downstairs.
Some cans of beans and some plants. Probably Jess's butthole.
Oh, probably. Yeah, maybe that's why she's been dragging her ass along the floor for the past few weeks.
Check it out. Let me know if there's a googly eye on there.
I thought her butt was staring at me.
Oh, did you ever see any like ads for those gems that you can like hang on a cat's tail
Yeah.
and cover?
What the
I don't
fuck's
know why.
that
That's
about?
immediately what I thought of when I started visualizing googly eyes on your dog's butthole. So there's that.
I've just got a pair of glasses for her ass.
Yep, there you go, buddy. That's your face now. Whew. Well,
Oh.
please keep me posted on the subsequent pranks that either you commit or experience because I
Mm, I
do
will.
love a good prank,
Oh, do
particularly on
you?
on loved ones too because I don't know, like they have to kind of just get over it.
There's nothing they can do about it.
Yeah. It's a classic Gemma and Kate mess around. I
Oh.
think we should maybe dip our toes into the water with our
Yeah.
respective loved ones and then report back.
Yes, let's do that.
I
Classic
need
Jabber and Cape mess
mess
around.
arounds. All right, I need some fishing wire, 16 tubes of Colgate toothpaste. It's got to be Colgate. That's important. And about 25 yards of sod. Okay, just
Sod.
making just like the fake, like grass that you can roll out and
Oh, okay, yeah.
just making a mental note.
Okay, I'll write that down.
It's gonna be real expensive, but it'll be worth it.
Do you know what I love is on New Girl with Winston's pranks that
When
are
he
either
marries the
far
girl
too
too.
big
Yeah.
or far too
Too
small.
small. Yep. Sticks a feather in Cece's mom's shoe. Or has a badger released in Cece's wedding to Chevron. Like a rabid badger.
Oh god.
Oh,
So
it's a good
good.
show. Yeah.
Good crack.
What else? I mean, you had a gig, I know, which is why we're recording a little bit later than normal.
I'm just looking at my calendar. Oh, I went to a pub quiz, actually. We went to a pub quiz on Thursday and we fucking won.
Where was it at? Can we go when I come over? What was your team name? What did you win? What were some of the questions?
That's a lot of questions. Okay.
I love pub quiz.
So it was at a brewery in Tenterden.
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 It is like dun dun dun, yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
And it was quite cool actually. It was like quite fun questions, and there were like challenges as well. So like, they had certain challenges, like the first person to give the barman something beginning with F. Like the first 10 people get a point or something like that.
Did you give him a frog?
I can't remember
A
what
fart.
we gave them now.
A flag.
And then they had like a true or false round where everyone stood up and you had your hands on your head if it was true and hands by your side if it was false. And if you got it wrong, you had to sit down. And then it was the last 3 people standing got either 15, 10 or 5 points.
Okay.
And we got the 15 points, which clinched it for us.
Nice.
And we won a shitload of ciders and beers.
That sounds fun. Like, I really, really love trivia a lot.
Do you?
Like a lot.
I'm just going to start writing stuff down for when you come over.
I just finally got to go to one in England when we were there last too. We went to Rainbow's Cross, and that's where I learned the game about like saying really neutrally song lyrics.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh. Actually, I'd like to do a little shout out. I mean, we've noticed in recent months that various Instagram ads are using the same music as this podcast.
Oh, yeah.
There's now the Emma mattress advert, which is on national TV, which is using our pod music. And I would file a lawsuit, but it is royalty-free music, so I can't. But I'd just like to say to Emma, if you'd like to sponsor this pod, we could come up with some kind of arrangement. We could both share the music and help each other out. I scratch your back, you scratch mine, you know.
I know you didn't consult with me on this, but I am 100% for it and will try a mattress.
Yeah, I also will try a mattress if you'd like to give us a free mattress. And we'll endorse it. We'll endorse it heavily on this podcast.
Let's go endorse-a-ling.
I immediately thought of like dorsal fins.
Well, you do love sharks. We know this. So that tracks, actually.
Okay. Okay. So, I don't know whether you saw it recently, but there were a few articles that came out saying, well, that watching true crime is potentially a massive red flag.
Massive even, not just a red flag, but, like,
Massive. The
on the
title says massive.
okay. I
So,
don't think I did see this actually, so
oh, really?
give me some more details.
Okay, well, so a psychologist has warned that tuning into true crime shows to relax is a red flag. Psychologist has suggested that it's a major red flag if you use true crime shows to relax. Um, it turns out that watching these scary or violent shows can actually be the sign of something more serious. Dr. Thema Bryant explains that treating true crime shows as a way to relax before bed could mean the trauma portrayed in the series is familiar to you.
Oh. Mhm. Okay.
So, yeah, so she's basically saying that if your idea of relaxing before you go to sleep is to watch 3 episodes of, for example,
Forensic Files. Yeah.
yeah, Law and Order,
Mhm.
then she would encourage you to think about why is trauma relaxing to me?
Well, it's 'cause I think she's kind of saying, like, this is normalized to you because of either your experiences or something, and so that it's like a comfort because it's what you know, right?
Exactly, yeah. So it's um if you grew up in high stress situations or
Mhm.
have you know been harmed or involved in crime or attacks, violation, um it feels familiar to you, and so that's what feels comforting
Mhm.
to some
When it
people.
really shouldn't, right?
No,
Like,
it's probably not a healthy sign.
no. I definitely thought you were gonna say, like, if it's comforting to you and something deeper is happening, like, you might be a serial killer.
That also could be a potential red flag.
Okay, so I guess tell me what's your position on, like, true crime, the obsession with it? Like, how do you feel about it? Do you enjoy it? And then if so, was this a red flag you disclosed to, you know, all your suitors?
Immediately, yeah.
The whole slew of them as I'm gesturing around my room.
Um, yeah, so I did also get really obsessed with true crime, um, podcasts, documentaries,
Mhm,
dramas,
mhm.
and don't get me wrong, I do still like them. But I think I got a little too obsessed. So it started with Serial, the podcast.
Yeah, me too, and My Favorite Murder.
Yeah, and My Favorite Murder. I think Serial was like probably one of the first podcasts I listened to.
I think me too, with Adnan Syed, right?
Yeah,
That was
mm,
actually just a really good series, I thought, but
it was. And if you haven't listened to it, I mean, check it out because it's great. Just an investigative dive into the story of I think it's Hey Min, the
yeah.
girl who got murdered, and
Mhm,
Adnan Syed and the case against him.
mhm,
Essentially, he was obviously put away for her murder, and it's sort of a delve into whether he did it or not, and if he's guilty or innocent. And the whole way through, it's
back and
brings you
forth,
back and
really.
forth,
Yeah.
and you can't decide, and even the journalist doesn't know. So it's really
Mhm.
good, really well done. And then obviously making a murderer is kind of
Oh, yeah. Yep.
the same thing, but delves more into like potential corrupt police involvement and
Courts, yeah.
courts and things like that. So that set me off on a bit of a obsession with it. Started listening to loads of different podcasts on various murders, serial
Mhm,
killers,
mhm.
psychopaths, cults, like just everything really. But then I got to a point where I felt it was affecting me.
Oh, okay.
Like I felt a bit more paranoid.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as a woman anyway, when you're walking down the street at night, you're well aware of your surroundings and on edge anyway.
Yeah.
But it felt worse. I was like
Yeah.
getting worried about people breaking into my house at night and
Mm-hmm.
attacking me, like the Golden State Killer and
Oh,
things like that.
yeah.
Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it started to affect me in more ways than one. And I thought, I think I need to just take a little step back from the old murder docs and listen to something a little bit more funny. Hence why we started this podcast to
Yep.
relieve people of their stress and worries.
You know, it's funny because I feel like my origin stories are kind of the same as yours.
That's why we're
In terms,
friends.
yes, that's the
The
only
only
reason.
reason, yeah.
Uh, but then I remember there being kind of a shift in the podcast we were talking about and listening to, um, kind of away from the dark stuff and the true crime stuff to, you know, the more amusing stuff or like serious stuff that's not about that anyways, you know?
Yeah.
And I think you and I probably were on that same kind of vibe of just like, okay, I don't I don't know if I need to take a break from it. Maybe I've just kind of lost interest, maybe desensitized. I'm not sure, but if you can stand back and kind of look objectively at this whole kind of true crime phenomenon, it's like I can understand it, and I still have to think about like what drew me to it because I think with Serial, that was just a well done
Mm.
story that was more than just about this murder, right?
Yeah.
So, but then like my favorite murder, which has this kind of blend of humor and telling the stories of the victims. And I know there's people out there who kind of feel strongly against some of their work, and there's people who really love it. I really kind of, I've kind of stopped listening to that podcast as much too. Um, but I think there's something to be said about the fact that like finding humor in kind of some really dark stuff, as much as that can really kind of be initially horrifying to people, there's something what's the word I'm looking for? There's something to it in terms of like processing it, I guess. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah, I think I think I can't speak for men, but I think for women at least, it's like it's a way for us to learn,
Mhm.
especially obviously in relation to serial killers, and
Mhm.
because most people that get murdered are women.
Mhm.
Um, and I think it's a way of learning how to potentially avoid those situations, how to protect ourselves, and like signs to look out for in the real world. I think that's why people are drawn to it so much.
Yeah, have you ever with any of your friends or just like in a discussion with anyone talked about like a true crime thing and discussed like, you know, if that were me,
Mm,
this is what I would have done or
yeah,
you know, like or now I'm going to think twice about walking down a dark alley in the middle of the night, you know, something like
yeah,
that. Have you and it almost feels like it's a way for people to when you're kind of talking about these things with your friends, like share information in a way to like kind of give a heads up and also discuss ways to like be safe.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm.
Though, like if I found myself like chloroformed and put in a trunk, I'd be like, I'm very much the type of person who's like, I just hope my death is fast. I just give up. So there is
Yeah.
that. There was a study I was reading about in an article I saw kind of related to this, where it was that for women in particular, it's kind of linked to the fear of victimization. And I also think for some of it, a part of it is like we want to know the why.
Mm.
Maybe
Yeah.
this is maybe more what it is for me. Like for example,
100%.
the let be case.
Yep.
To me, it's the why of how someone could do that and wanting to, I guess, seek meaning behind their actions in a way that
Mm.
isn't just like just anybody is capable of this. There's something genetically, biologically wrong with this person. They have a mental health issue. They've had a brain injury. They had trauma, something that
Mm.
doesn't just like make any person a risk to us. Because I
Mhm.
think we as a people have a hard time accepting that you, for example, Gemma, just one day could decide to be a monster.
That's it, and there's a very big difference between a passion killing,
Hmm.
where someone has got angry and lost their head and potentially
Snapped.
snapped and accidentally killed someone,
Yeah.
and then premeditated murder where it's what am I trying to say? So, like, there's various different reasons why people kill, and some of it is like sexually driven, some of it is because they're
Trauma driven because of a
trauma
thing.
driven.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, there's so many different reasons, but it's so alien to us as quote unquote normal people.
Hmm.
Um, and especially cases like the Letby case where, it would appear she is guilty of killing and attempting to kill numerous premature babies.
Yeah.
Like, what's gone through her head to
Yep.
make her want to do that? Why is she doing it? What's she thinking? Like,
Hmm.
it's such a crazy thing to even consider. Like, I'm too scared to steal a sweetie out of a shop.
Oh, come on now.
No, but I
Yeah,
am. Like, I feel
yeah,
extreme guilt doing things like
yeah.
that. For someone to kill children or, break into people's houses and,
Sexually assault and
sexually
murder them.
assault
Yeah.
them and, yeah, in front of their partners and then kill them. Like, it's just an absolutely horrific and terrible thing to do. And it's fascinating to learn how people get into that mindset. What happens to their brain?
Well, and we want something to have happened to them, I feel like,
Yeah.
right?
The
Like, we
most
need
scariest thing is
that.
when nothing has
Yeah,
happened.
they're like, we can't, like, the parents are like,
They
there's
had a great
we had a nor
upbringing and
yeah, and no TBI, no trauma, and it's just like, this is just who they were, and I think, you can probably go through a bunch of different like big killers in history, and some of them have some of those things. Some of them had like a really traumatic
mhm,
upbringing or experienced had trauma too, or something, and then kind of became known as, I could probably name several serial killers, but I can't say I would recall that their actual background. But like Ted Bundy, I think is one where people are still like, yeah, not really sure why bro was like that,
nope,
you know?
that's it. And interestingly, a while ago went to that talk on serial
Oh
killers,
yeah. Hmm.
and she was talking about there was a guy that was doing a big study into it, um, because as you said, like a lot of them have childhood trauma or were assaulted themselves or had a head or brain injury. But there's some killers that just kill for apparently no reason.
Hmm.
So he started looking into the brain scans and brain matter of various murderers and serial killers and discovered that there's a certain part of the brain that's I can't remember whether it was overfiring or underfiring, but it
Hmm.
basically found that killers all had this particular brain anomaly in common,
Oh,
and
okay.
so they could potentially pick that up in people, and it's basically related to empathy. Like, they don't have empathy for other people, basically.
I'm gonna look this up.
And he ended up doing loads of brain scans with serial killers and murderers, loads of normal people, um, and then loads of just like random people as well. And found that a lot of serial killers had it, And then also came across one of the random test subjects had it.
Okay, so someone who's supposed to be in, like, the control normal population group?
Yeah,
Bum, bum,
he
bum.
looked up who it was, and it was him. Bum, bum, bum.
Wait, sorry, it was who?
It was the scientists.
Oh, it was his own.
It was his own brain.
He's like, "When am I gonna start killing?"
That's it. um, so then that like prompted more research, and they obviously found that you can have this abnormality, but it's how you deal with it. And his particular lack of empathy made him a good scientist because he was very
Mhm,
logical and
mhm.
sort of unemotional in that sense. But he also said, I had a really good upbringing. My mum was incredible, and I never had any knocks to the head. So maybe that also affected it.
So, it's kinda fair to say there's a correlation amongst people who kill and this brain abnormality, but that doesn't
Hmm.
mean everyone who has it is going to be a killer because it probably is a vulnerability that needs some other thing to kind of trigger it, right?
Yeah.
So, because he didn't have a a difficult childhood, he had a good upbringing, lots of support, probably didn't experience a lot of things that a lot of the other ones did. It didn't almost like cue that abnormality in a
Mm.
way. And that's true about mental health issues as well, because you think
Yeah.
about certain mental health issues, mood disorders, personality disorders, and we talk about like, are they genetic? Is it nature? Is it nurture?
Hmm.
And I think like for the most part, it's a bit of both. We don't know for sure, but there is like a genetic predisposition to certain things. If you have family who has depression, for example, you're
Yeah.
more likely to, or bipolar. Doesn't mean you will, but you're more genetically predisposed. But you also kind of need like a catalyst a little bit
Yeah.
too to kind of spark it.
Mm.
So for him, what made him like particularly successful was because of perhaps some of this, plus
Yeah.
his nurture, his environment.
Hmm.
Whereas those people who did kill didn't, and it sent them down, a different pathway, I guess. Interesting.
Yeah. I think he was like the great grandson of some prolific murderer as well that he found out through this.
Oh.
So it seemed to be a genetic
Mm-hmm.
thing. I'm not talking very well today.
You had the day off. It's okay.
Yeah. Um, I also think one of the reasons I've not gone off true crime. I'm just not as obsessed with it anymore.
Yeah.
Is because one, I think the market's been like just
Saturated.
absolutely saturated with it. Like there's so much shit out there now,
It's true.
and I think some things have gone a little bit too far. Like some people, in a way, glorifying
Mm-hmm.
serial killers, not respecting the victims. Like the stories are always more about the killers and not the poor people that lost their lives. Because there was, you remember the Dharma show on Netflix?
I don't know.
Did you watch it? It was the
I'm
guy
guessing
that
not.
killed gay guys.
Oh, Dahmer. Okay, your accent threw me there. I thought you
Gobbledygook.
said Dharma, like as in Dharma and Greg. I was like, yeah, I have seen that show. What's that got to do with this? But yeah, Jeffrey Dahmer. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
Jeffrey
people
Dahmer.
really, I think, were like, because of the actor too, but we're like, I love him, Jeffrey Dahmer. Yay.
Mm. And then it turned out that they didn't contact any of the victims' families
Yep.
before releasing it, or, that's bang out of
Yep.
order. If you're going
Yeah,
to
I
depict them
agree.
in a drama series, you've at least got to get their permission or just give them a heads up that it's happening.
Did you watch it?
I did, yeah.
So did I. And did you feel it made me uncomfortable because at some point there was, and I think this is probably closer to like the true life than not, but like at some point I'm like, the way this is being portrayed almost makes me feel kind of bad for him.
Mm.
You know, so you're starting to have, like, some empathy for this
Yeah.
person. It's and I was like, I
And they
wonder
often
if
do.
yeah, some intentionality with that.
But again, I think that is kind of the nature of it because a lot of these people, when you do look into their backstory, have a fucking terrible upbringing.
Yeah.
And there have been certain docs or shows that I've listened to where I am like, fucking hell, like I can not understand why they're doing it, but I can understand how they've got to that point. Like
Yeah.
they've had the most terrible
Just
life.
no chance in hell really to
No,
be a functional human, right?
that's it.
No, and I think that's the other reason too that we try to seek motive and intent behind such horrible things because it's just even if we can't understand why, I can't understand why this nurse did this to all these babies. And like it seems like she put herself in a position to have access, which
Mm,
is even worse, right? Like
mhm.
but like it would make me feel a little less uneasy, upset, confused about it if I knew for sure that it was because of I don't even wanna make excuses or give examples that could be her motive, but you know what I mean, I think.
Yeah.
Right? Just where it's like,
Mm.
I guess, like, those things made her snap.
Yeah. It would yeah, not understandable, but it would make it
It's an
easier to
answer to what an
digest.
otherwise yeah, otherwise kind of, like, senseless thing, right? It
Yeah.
makes no sense, and
Mm.
we need to have order and labels kind of in order to be able to process things,
Mhm.
which is why people go to therapy, you know?
Yep.
To kind of identify the things that, you know, dictate our actions and why we
Mm.
are who we are. And I don't think any of these people could have like I don't think this let be person could have gone to therapy and probably had have that change her, but who knows?
No, and I think the scariest thing with her is that, she was clearly, she's been described as very intelligent, very conscientious, um, and I think for me, the thought of killers being very intelligent and very aware of what they're doing even scarier.
Mhm.
Like like Ted Bundy, like he's described as good looking and charismatic,
Charming. Yeah.
charming, and not your typical
Mhm.
serial killer. I mean, I don't know what a typical serial killer looks like or is meant to look like, but
Right.
that makes it all the more scarier because it's like a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Well, and I don't you think that there's probably people out there who are a little bit nervous about like giving birth and they're side eyeing their nurses now? Like
Yep.
she went under the radar for long enough
Mhm.
that she was able to do that. It would make me wonder. You know, you put a lot of trust into people. I put a lot of trust into, you know, strangers all the time that they're not going to be monsters who do something
Yeah.
horrible. Like I let people come do service work at my house and just hope for the best, you know?
Yep. Just hope I don't get murdered.
Yeah, which is kind of I think that's probably why we see I think we kind of said this at the top why we see it's major like a lot more female audience in a way
Yeah.
for some of these things because of I think just it's kind of our day-to-day life and maybe there's a little bit of like education and preparation but also maybe some comfort in knowing that like we're all in this together. There's women out there who've suffered and you know, we remember them and we think about like them when we, you know, try to protect ourselves and our female friends.
Mhm.
I also think that like a lot of them are like single women who have maybe the unfortunate reality of having to be a little bit more protective of themselves because they
Yeah.
don't have support, you know, in
Mhm.
home or something like that.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
And there seems to be like a massive rise in the popularity of toxic masculinity
Yeah.
at
Which
the
is making it
moment.
even worse that for like the women
Yeah,
who are constantly having to take measures to protect themselves, right?
exactly.
Hmm.
Like, did you hear they've actually had to send like psychologists into schools because like the boys are being brainwashed into this like Andrew Tate mentality from like TikTok and stuff. And so they're actually having to send people into schools to be like, boys, this isn't right. You can't actually treat women like that. And this is how you should treat them as equals, because it's not actually acceptable and it's very dangerous and harming. And like, why has it gone so backwards? And why is it so popular that that's now happening?
That was happening in the UK. I remember you telling me about this, like that was happening a while ago, but I don't think that's happening here because I actually don't think that like as a society we care as much here in America.
Sorry
Uh
about
no, yeah, it's unfortunate,
that.
but I feel like I've been thinking about like toxic and fragile masculinity for a long time because we see really horrific things happening to
Mm-hmm.
women by men, either like men they knew or strangers, because of entitlement and like gender roles and like kind of I think some of the expectations we put on men and women.
Mm.
And I think we talk about like the shame that it is that it's happening, but we never actually talk about why. So if if there were people sending psychologists into schools here, then that would mean like we actually care about something.
Oh,
Yeah.
poor little America.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh God.
So, did you see any follow-up about that? Like, is it effective or were the boys like, "No, we wanna
No, I
be
haven't actually.
toxic"? One thing that I think about is it this, like, idea that men can't be emotive, men can't have feelings, men have to be X, Y, and Z that
Hmm.
leads to, like, this kind of repression of themselves, and then, like, the only acceptable form of, like, emoting from a man is anger, right?
Yeah.
Because that's very masculine, and fighting, oh, boys will be boys,
Mm.
you know? And that's why I think one of my we talked about this a while ago, the ick for me is when I see this kind of, like, over display of anger and
Yeah.
machismo and masculinity and like, you wanna go, bro?" Like, I fucking hate that so much. But I think that's, like, men think that that's, like, they're maybe they don't think, but subconsciously that's how they are taught to act.
Yeah. I think it's as you say, like boys are told not to cry. Boys don't cry,
Mhm,
and that's actually your body's way of releasing trauma and releasing emotions. So
mhm,
if they're holding all that in for
yeah,
20, 30 years, the only way they can act out is aggression and violence.
yep,
And then, there's people pushing it, like Andrew Tate.
yeah. Tell me what you read about him.
Um, well, to be honest, I've like stayed away from him. Obviously, I saw that he was arrested for human trafficking.
Yeah.
Looks like he
Real good role
employed.
model, boys,
Yeah,
nice.
well done. Looked like he ran like a webcam business.
Gross.
Employed like 70 odd girls, and loads of them have accused them of being held captive and being forced to do certain things,
Non-consensual things, yes.
non-consensual things. Yeah. So I just had a quick look at some quotes that he has made. It seems he doesn't like poor people. He doesn't like women. He seems to think that in order to be successful, you just have to have lots of money and drive a Lambo or a Ferrari.
And don't be beta.
Don't be bitter. He doesn't think depression is real.
It's when you're beta.
So he said here about men crying. He said, "Oh, real men cry, and women can cry, and men cry too. There's nothing wrong with it, but there absolutely is something wrong with it. Life as a man is far more difficult than life as a woman."
Okay.
You said on children. I think the most important thing anyone can do in their life is have children. When I speak to some of these feminists who are like, I don't want kids, I think you're the most miserable, stupid bitch in the world.
I feel seen by him now.
Uh, it's all about like rejecting weakness. He says, reject weakness in any form. You don't need to be handsome, you just need to be scary. How? Get big in the gym, have status, make money, and be competent and dress like a mafia boss.
Got cancer, bro. That's just weakness.
Yeah, man.
So, did you ever see the Barbie movie?
No, I haven't yet.
Okay. I will refrain from discussing that further at this juncture.
Okay. Hold that thought. I just wanted to do some on the women ones because they're exciting. Said I was getting on a plane and I could see through the cockpit that a female was a pilot, and I took a picture and said, most women I know can't even park a car. Why is this woman flying my plane? And they banned me.
Okay.
Females are the ultimate status symbol. People think I'm running around with these hoes because I like sex. That's nothing to do with the reason why I'm running around with these bitches. I've got these bitches so everyone knows who the Don is.
Okay. So, like, objectified, but we're also like the worst. There's
Yeah.
such
It's very
hypocrisy
confusing.
sometimes. Yeah. I'm so confused. But okay.
Yeah, so essentially he's a twat
Yeah. Big time.
from what I can work out.
I just like it seems to me like probably he got his rise because he was like maybe rejected when he was younger. Maybe he was small. Maybe he was kind of a nerd or a loner and felt like he didn't get enough attention from women
Mm,
and became sort of like, have you heard about like incels?
yeah,
You know, like
yeah.
that whole group where it's like, I hate women. They don't want to fuck me and fuck them. But
Hmm.
then like all they want, like as soon as they get a girlfriend, like it's just like, it's such a nag. Like, well, if you don't like me, then I don't like you. Fuck you then. And I don't understand how. No, I guess that's just it. I just don't understand.
No, I don't understand either.
I don't get it. Can someone explain it to us?
Yeah, if we could get some some alphas on to explain what the crack is. I think, yeah. I mean, here's a quote as well, which sort of sums it up. I think the women belong to the man.
Mhm.
So they feel like they own us. And maybe they're threatened because historically and traditionally the woman did belong to the man, and we relied on men for, our money, our food. Historically we had to get married to a man because otherwise we didn't have
Yeah.
anything when we couldn't work. And
That was how you kind of carried on like supporting your family as a woman, right?
yeah, so maybe it's like an ancestral trauma as well.
Yeah.
But they're not all men are like it, are they?
No.
There's lovely men out there. There just seems to be a weird little bunch that can't get over it.
Well, and I think harkening back to kind of like your days on the dating apps,
Mm,
I'm assuming you encountered some of them, right? Like
yeah.
you maybe didn't respond fast enough, or you were kind of like, no, thanks, but no thanks, or didn't laugh at a joke. And it was kind of like, well, you're ugly anyways. It's like, you swiped right on me, though,
Yeah.
you know? So, but yes, it seems to me like it's like with anything, there's the bad apples that ruin the whole bunch, so to speak.
Yeah.
Um, but they're always like the most vocal too. So, and I just, we hear about feminism almost as sometimes as if that's a dirty word too. But I think a friend of mine said this to me after we saw the Barbie movie about kind of the point is that the patriarchy and like masculinity actually is really not working for men either. And it's really kind
Mm,
of harmful
yeah.
for not only women, but also men. Yet it still exists and gets, it seems like it's kind of resurged. And I think part of that is to do with Trump and some of his bullshit too,
Yep.
and making it kind of more acceptable to say things that perhaps people didn't want to say or like say that they believed in. So they at least faked it,
Mm,
which is why, I think there are so many women falling for kind of like that fake persona. And then it's like, oh, it turns out that this person was an abusive piece of shit, you know? And then we see the issues like the kind of prevalence of intimate partner violence and like sexual assault from someone whether it's a long-term partner or a short-term partner or a friend because of this kind of entitlement. And like
mm,
maybe one day we can talk about our own experiences kind of with horrible relationships or having to
mhm,
have just terrible encounters with men. But I often joke about this even though I shouldn't, for a couple of reasons, but just like I there was a serial like groper, molester, rapist thing going on when I was in college.
mhm.
And to the point where like the school and the local law enforcement basically created little shuttle buses for people at the end of the night to get rides home. Men and women, it wasn't exclusively women,
Yeah.
but like primarily for the women because they were the ones who were getting attacked. And I was like, no one's gonna molest me. Look at me. I'm fine. I'm gonna walk home by myself. No biggie. And I did. And
Catherine.
thankfully nothing happened to me. But like that was how I think also because of society problems. I was like, how like I would be very arrogant to assume that someone would want to attack me.
Oh god.
But there was like, yeah, I think it was actually a couple different guys doing it,
Oh,
but
really?
just like basically waiting for drunk females walking home or just alone, maybe not drunk in the middle of the night and like basically jumping out of bushes and like groping them. I don't think anything
Mhm.
went much further than that, but obviously scary and like disgusting and what the fuck.
Yep.
Like we can't. And then it's like, well, walk home in groups or get a ride home. Why do I have to moderate my behavior
Mm.
for you? Let's teach
Yeah.
men to not do that instead.
And yeah, exactly. I once had an experience on a bus. I was coming back from college, and funnily enough, I'd sat at the top of the double decker bus, and there was like a homeless guy walking up and down, like clearly on crack or something.
Hmm.
And I was really scared of him. And this guy then got on the bus and sat in the seat opposite me on the other side of the aisle. And I thought,
Okay.
oh my
So,
God.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, like, parallel to me.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, thank God he's got on. Like, at least I'm not going to get attacked by this homeless guy now. And halfway into the journey, I like noticed out the corner of my eye that he had undone his trousers and whacked his dick out and was just sitting
Oh
there
my God.
with his cock out. And I was
Mm.
like, like,
The normal guy, not the homeless man.
yeah, the normal guy, my savior.
Normal quote unquote guy. Yeah.
Mm. And he was like smirking, and it made me feel physically sick. And I was,
Ugh.
I was quite young at the time. Well, I must have been 16, 17, to be fair. But
Right.
even
So like
so, like,
no skills whatsoever to like protect yourself, ask for help,
no,
respond
no,
because like at that point you're like just don't make any noise and be polite.
exactly. And that's exactly what I did. And just sat there and tried not to look at him until I got to my stop, and then ran off and ran to my parents and told them about it and called the police. But the police then didn't get in contact with me for another 3 months. And I then had to go into the police station, and they did like a photo lineup where I had to try and pick him out.
Oh, 3 months later.
3 months later, of I think it was 60 mugshots.
When you were more nervous about the homeless guy and then really probably as soon as you saw the other guy's penis, chose not to look at him again. Yeah, that makes
Exactly.
sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it turned out I heard through other people that there had been this guy who had been flashing school kids on the
Yeah.
bus for a period of months, and nothing seemed to have been done about it. And bear in mind as well, we have CCTV cameras on buses.
Mhm.
So if they had wanted to look into it, they probably could have, at least pinned down where he was getting on, where he was getting
Mhm.
off, what
Mhm.
times he was targeting people, things like that. Um, but they didn't do anything about it. And by the 3 months point, I could not remember what he looked like.
Got any pictures of his penis? 'Cause maybe.
But that's the kind of behavior that escalates as well. It starts off with flashing,
Oh, yeah.
then it
Mhm.
escalates to something else because they don't get a thrill out of it anymore.
Mhm.
And it could have, potentially have escalated into something much more serious, but it didn't seem like it was being taken seriously.
Do you think that that's something you could have, like, maybe said to the driver at all? Like, a part of me just is like, that would have been something I would have considered in your shoes, but maybe not.
Mm.
But then I'm also like,
That's what I
is
should
the
have
driver
done.
even equipped well, is the driver even equipped to, like, deal with it? Like, other than get a fucking good look at this guy, right?
Well, I think I did speak to someone about this, and they said, yeah, what you should have done was speak to the driver when you were about to get off.
Mhm.
And what he should have been trained to do is to stop the bus, not let anyone off, and call the police
Oh, yeah.
and get him
Okay,
arrested there and
good.
then. So
Because
that's
a
what I
part of
should have
me would
done.
be
But
like, yeah.
I
Well,
was
you
so
wouldn't know.
I was just so
Yeah.
just wanted to get out of that situation. I was like, I just want to get off the bus.
It goes back to, like, this kind of debate about should we be teaching kids younger, in school, like, here's what to do if this happens, here's what to do if
Yeah.
this happens. And
Mm.
some people are like, yep, we got to teach kids how to, like, know what to do to stay safe. And then it's like other people are like, no, let's teach little boys to not be fucking perverts,
Yeah, let's
and
teach
it's like,
boys not to rape.
it's probably both. It's a conversation about
Yeah.
both, right? Um, but I like I said, I don't know if I would have thought of that either. And, depending on how the bus drivers are trained, like, imagine if it was just like a little old lady. Would you
Yeah.
wanna put her in that situation? Like, this guy's showing me his junk upstairs, he's kinda scary, and she's like, "Okay, dear, let me just go have a chat."
Yeah. Yeah,
Ugh,
it's tricky, isn't it?
yeah.
And you don't know how you're
I,
gonna react in that situation until it happens, really.
no, and nothing quite like that has happened to me, though my own experiences, um, more involved people I knew,
Mm. Yeah, I've got
but
some of them as well.
similarly, no clue really, like, other than blame myself for some reason.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the reason this happened to me.
Mm.
So, um, I don't know. It's really frustrating too because I feel like even it's like a spectrum. We have Andrew Tate kind of on this one end, and then we have kind of men on the other end of the spectrum who probably are to the extreme, non-toxic masculine or whatever you want to call the other end of the
Yeah.
extreme, but then very like normal people, men we know who we would never consider to be problematic, but still have kind of some of these belief systems or ideals
Mm.
because of what society says,
Yeah.
like, and
Or
they
may
don't
even
mean
just make, like, inappropriate jokes and,
yeah.
when they're with the
Mhm.
lads and,
Yep.
things like that, which they'll say is bants, but would you say it to your daughter?
Perpetuate, just like also kind of not perpetuating, but like giving normalizing or giving a pass to things that then other men take to the next level.
Yeah.
So, like lads' night, they're all kind of making jokes about things, but then one of the guys decides to go to the next level, and he's like, "No, my boys thought it was, she
Yeah.
shouldn't have been wearing that then.
Yeah.
She was asking for it."
Exactly.
Well, I think this is an ongoing conversation, but I am curious to hear what the audience at home, think about
Mm.
true crime, toxic masculinity, the influence. Like, if you are a big lover of true crime, tell us why. If you've thought about it, if you're not, tell us why. If you think that there's an answer to how to address this kind of issue,
Please
we'd
do
love to
let
hear
us
it.
know.
Yeah, because that's what we're doing on this podcast, solving the world's problems.
Yes, obviously. So get in touch by emailing talkshittous@gmail.com or get in touch on social media, which is TSYBpod. Oh, nailed it that time.
Nailed it, crushed it.
Thank you. I had to look at the keyboard just to look at the letters.
You just highlighted them.
Yeah. Yeah, do get in touch. join the conversation. Send us any stories or tales that you have that we could discuss or help you with, because we are more than qualified to do that. Am I the asshole?
You know you are, baby.
Yeah. That's very high pitched, that one.
Sorry to all the dogs and people listening too loud with their AirPods.
Okay. Am I the arsehole for telling my fiance that if he expects me to contribute 50-50, we have to make some serious lifestyle changes? My fiance sat me down yesterday and gave me a long talk about how he feels like I don't contribute enough to the household, particularly in the financial sense. I was a bit caught off guard by this, but was willing to hear him out since he wasn't wrong. He makes a lot more than I do, and we've always split bills accordingly, which end up being about 80% him. I asked what he wanted me to pay now, and he was adamant about it being 50-50. I asked if everything was okay with his job or if he needed to take fewer hours, and he wouldn't answer me. I honestly wouldn't have gotten upset if there seemed to be an actual reason behind it, but he just said he'd been thinking about it a lot over and over. And every time I asked what brought him to this conclusion and what is going on, eventually he just said, "This is how it's going to be, take it or leave it." Those exact words, in response to literally everything I said. Full shutdown, no explanations. I told him that was fine, I'll take it, and asked if he'd made a Zillow account yet, or expected me to. Now, I don't know what a Zillow account is, but I think it's like a house.
Spell it.
Housing? ZILLOW.
Yeah, so it's like a real estate platform.
Okay, cool. He looked confused and asked why he would need a Zillow account. I explained there's no way I can afford half our rent in our current place, so we'll probably have to move into a one-bed apartment. He got mad and asked why I didn't have savings. I told him that I do, but I'm not paying rent out of my savings because that's a terrible and unsustainable idea. I also began to go over what our new food budget would be, our new entertainment budget, and that we probably would have to sell the cars and get one less expensive because I can't afford half the payments on an Audi and a Land Rover. I then explained that date nights would probably have to be reduced too, but we could still do things like Buffalo Wild Wings or something. And I preferred Thursday nights because you get 2 orders of boneless wings for one.
Oh, the gourmand. Do you remember when we went there? We took you
No.
guys there. It was the place we went to with the wings, I guess.
Oh, really?
When you guys came for the wedding, yeah.
I do not remember that.
Because it's not good.
Okay. Okay, so basically, if he wants me to pay half, we're living within my means, not his anymore. He kind of agreed to it, but since then he's been incredibly angry. He's not saying or doing anything, but it's like he's walking around the house in a cloud of piss. Sorry, a cloud of pissed offness. I sent him 6 Zillow listings, all of which he's called uninhabitable for various reasons, some of which I think were valid, some I disagree with. He's now saying that I'm being unfair and manipulative, and that he tried to come to me with a serious concern about our relationship, and I'm making it impossible for him to talk to me and bulldozing all over him. Am I the arsehole?
No.
Hmm.
I have a couple comments, observations, if you will.
Hit me.
Well, when he was like, take it or leave it, and she's like, so I took it. I'm impressed because to me, with that, my question would be, how is this a partnership when you sit me down to say, this is what I decided, this is what's going to be happening, and I'm telling you that based on what I earn, that's not possible. And he's like, take it or leave it. So like, I think this person's actually really smart, because then she's like, I take it, and now let's talk about how things are going to change in order for this to be achievable.
Yeah.
and did so in a really kind of reasonable and mature way. And his reaction, I'm not sure what he was hoping for.
Mhm.
Like, her basically contributing every cent she earned outside of her savings to cover her 50% portion, and then being like, I don't have any money left over. I guess you're going to have to pay for all the fun things we do. Now, I'm not sure if he was trying to like come up with like get her to leave him or break up with him, or kind of like restrict her financial like security. I guess I would be questioning this guy's motives big
Yep.
time.
Mhm.
And so no, like his response is what makes him the asshole.
Yeah. I mean, I'd get it if they were earning equally, fair
Yeah.
enough.
Mhm.
But they've gone into this partnership. He's fully aware
Mhm.
of how much she earns,
Mhm.
and he's obviously created a life for them, or what they have together, where he's fully aware she can't afford to pay 50% of the rent and the cars and, their
Yeah.
lifestyle.
Mhm.
So I think a few things could be happening here. Like you said, I think he was trying to break up with her, but
Get
without
her to do it
actually
though.
doing it.
Yeah.
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 He was trying to find an easy way out, but she's called his bluff. And now he's
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm mad because she won't do what I want her to do.
If she realizes that though, then baby, leave him. He doesn't want to be with you. But anyway, yes,
Yeah.
go on.
Or potentially something's happened in his life, like he may have lost his job
Yeah.
or
Gambling debts or something.
gambling debts, yeah, something like that. And now he's panicking about money, but he's not willing to actually be honest about it. Or he's been speaking to someone, friends, family.
Yeah. Maybe a little bit of toxic masculinity glad handing going on, a little circle
Mm-hmm.
jerking going on. Your woman
Yep.
needs to pay 50%, but also women are objects
Yeah.
and worthless somehow. She should be pulling her weight
It's
unless
very
she's gonna
confusing.
stay at home and service your needs. I don't know. But yeah, I agree that maybe there's a little bit of like, why isn't your woman paying 50%? They want feminism and equality.
Yeah. Can't believe you're paying everything for her, mate. You need to fucking make her pay off.
We'll
um,
get the beers in, son. Lads.
wee. So yeah, no, I don't think she's the asshole, and he either needs to explain what the fuck is going on, or
Be a man and dump her if
yeah,
that's what he wants. Like,
exactly, grow a pair, mate.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I probably shouldn't be allowed to say that, should I?
I'll let it slide this time.
Okay, thank you.
Well, that was a good one. I hope she is thriving on her own, paying her own bills and living her best life because she can afford exactly what she needs and wants and got rid of the dead weight.
Yeah, girlfriend.
Get it.
Well, there we have it. We've delved into true crime, toxic masculinity, and
Finances.
finances. All the important things. And
All the important things.
that's what we do here. Right, well, we'll catch you all next week. And in the meantime, if you've got any questions, dilemmas, problems, stories, anything funny you want to share, any
Soup recipes.
soup recipes,
Pictures of your animals. Your favorite thing that happened to you this week.
your favourite pair of socks.
Yeah. Good pranks that you've committed.
Yeah, share your pranks.
Ideas
Give me
for
some
pranks.
tips. Give me, yeah.
Yeah, ideas for pranks. Ways for Gemma to not be pranked by
Yeah.
Alan.
How I can protect myself, please. All right, cool.
I hope the best for you.
Thank you very much. I'll keep you updated, and hopefully don't sort of get tripwired down a set of stairs or anything too serious like that.
I also hope you don't get home alone because then I'm going to have a problem. Needs to be non-painful pranks, please. All right, it's good to see you.
And you. Have a good one. I'll
You
speak to
too.
you soon.
Bye.
Bye.